Introduce Jitu Brown, organizer with the Kenwood Oakland Community Organization, Jitu Brown. Jitu.
So, yeah, again, Jitu Brown, Kenwood Oakland Community Organization. Statement would just say this, that it's important that folks covering this issue get it right. This strike did not happen in a vacuum. Understand that this strike has been the result of 15 years of abuse of teachers, 15 years of demonizing teachers, narrowing the students' curriculum, setting our schools up for failure, and then the same people who sabotage our children's education swoop in with the solution, which is to shut down our schools. When Mayor Rahm Emmanuel says, our children, when David Vitale has the nerve to say, our children, when David Vitale presided over a school closings hearing where paid protesters sat there and took speaking opportunities away from parents and snickered when the parents demanded their voice, is criminal. And the jig is up, because what has happened now is that parents and teachers and students are united. And we're going to demand that we have an equitable school system that supports teachers, that supports student engagement, that gives children at Dyett High School the same educational opportunities that children have in Lakeview. That's right. And for members of the media, we ask you to get this right, because right here, right before your eyes, is a course comparison, the system that your mayor has set up, where at a neighborhood high school, not a selective enrollment, at Lakeview, these children have American literature, for foreign languages, they have Mandarin Chinese 1 through 4, French 1 through 4, German 1 through 4, Spanish 1 through 4, Spanish for native speakers 1 through 4, and advanced placement Spanish, where at Dyett High School, they have Spanish 1 and 2. At Lakeview, and I'm not even talking about Northside College Prep, at Lakeview, they have several advanced placement classes. They have classes such as, and they have all types of art opportunities. Art 1, multiple sections, darkroom photography, drawing and painting, advanced placement studio art and drawing, sculpture studio, studio printmaking, band, jazz ensemble. You can throw a rock from Lakeview to Rahm Emmanuel's home. At Dyett High School last year, the students had to take art online. There were no art classes. That is, if you are talking about children first, they must be honest enough to deal with the structural inequities that are in place. And those of you, so when Rahm Emmanuel and David Vitale try to now put the need to close schools on teachers' salaries, it is more madness. And you all let it slide. Stop letting it slide. The fact of the matter is the Chicago Tribune reported the fact that the budget crisis is on them. The budget crisis has been based on their priorities. The Office of New Schools, the newly created Portfolio Office, has now received millions of dollars in resources while neighborhood schools are starved. And nobody cries out and says this is wrong. This is not militant banter. This is not people just running off at the mouth. This is what's happening on your watch. On your watch, because we won't report the truth. We won't sit here and say that this teacher's strike is from a union that is a teaching force that has been abused and communities have been abused. The last thing I would say on this is that if the mayor is truly interested in getting it right, instead of ignoring the voices of those parents who cry out and say, please support my school, don't close it. Instead of ignoring the voices of those young people who say, I don't want to be shipped to another neighborhood. Right. Please keep me in my neighborhood. Instead of CPS standing for closing public schools, because that's what CPS stands for now, closing public schools. Oh, yeah! What we need, and I need everybody here right now to say this, we need a 2-year moratorium on all school closings. We need a 2-year moratorium on all school closings to investigate the civil and human rights abuses of young people who are, and teachers who are displaced, and students who are shipped into schools and put in harm's way. And the spikes in violence that happen at receiving schools every time they shut a school down. You cannot hide behind your own prejudice on this. It is time for the truth to come out. So, since nobody else has been courageous enough to stand up for these children and give them the chance to stand on our shoulders, the children have filed a Title VI civil rights complaint. By 34 students from Dyett High School. And what we are doing tomorrow night in support of the valiant fight of our teachers is that 18 states are converging on Washington, D.C. And we are doing a journey for justice, taking this right to Arnie Duncan's doorstep. You cannot, because the simple truth is that the real agenda behind closing schools is twofold. One, you want to bust the only resistance that you have to work to widespread corporate takeover of schools, which is organized labor. Working people need union protection. We need protection against corporate greed. Corporate greed just collapsed this country. We just went into a huge recession due to corporate CEOs taking $500 million bonuses. And you believe that these are the people that care about our children? No. Are you crazy? Are you crazy? So what we're saying is that school closings is meant to bust unions and also bust up communities that are suffering from gentrification. So when you raise the housing prices like Bronzeville, where we've lost 7,000 units of affordable housing, when you bust up the housing in the neighborhoods, the next dagger in the heart, as Diane Ravitch says, is shutting down schools. When you shut down those institutions and the people no longer have access to those institutions, the people leave. And they want us out of that neighborhood, but we are not leaving. Thank you very much. The reason behind the injunction is really the whole question of union busting. The piece is, see, the research is out now on charter schools, on turnaround schools, and the data harmonizes what we know in our neighborhoods. It's failed policy, it does not work. But they're in too deep. So they have to keep pushing this failed education model, which decimates the union membership and destabilizes communities, which is why teachers, parents, and students have to stand together, because we're the ones impacted by these policies. Teachers lose their jobs, our children lose opportunities, and our neighborhood loses stability. I mean, I think they would know the effects of the injunction, and they would know the impact of their policies. And so the question is, do they care? And until he proves me wrong, or until he proves us wrong, we say no, he doesn't. That it's okay to have African-American children in unstable environments, because we're not valued. If we were valued, then Lakeview High School or Dyett High School would look like Lakeview. The numbers I laid out earlier was not a teacher issue, that's not a principal issue, that's a systematic expectations issue. So, for example, Lakeview High School has 12 advanced placement classes. Dyett has none. So, see, the injunction is one thing, and it's important, but there's a system that's out of pocket, and that's what we're raising. The teachers are not just striking over pay and teacher evaluation. Those are important. They're striking because there's a system that is schizophrenic, that is wreaking havoc in our neighborhoods. And that's not a dramatic statement. We can prove it. I mean, the proof is right here in the pudding. So an A student from Dyett High School graduates with a far less well-rounded education than a C student from Lakeview. And those are two neighborhood schools in the same city. He has a right to send his children to a private school, but he should not push policies that the school that his children go to say are not good policies. So standardized testing we know that does not an accurate measure of student learning. We know that zero tolerance policies do not make schools safer, but it's okay for our kids, right? And that's the point that he's gonna have to learn. That, you know, and he'll learn this the easy way or the hard way. And it looks like he's gonna learn it the hard way is that, you know, at the end of the day, I've got a 3-year-old son. I'm not giving my son to this. I'm not giving my son to this. My son will go to a public school system that at least at some level is just, that gives him a fighting chance. Not to a school system. They're talking about put the children back in school. Why do I want to send my child to a school that's gonna close in the next year? You see, that's what they're not talking about. See, Chicago Public Schools is going around right now telling schools, your school is next. They just talked to the Dunbar local school council and said, your school is next. Dunbar got decades of history in our neighborhood, and you just snatch away neighborhood institutions. It's racist and it's greedy. And the thing is, do we got the courage to look them in the face and say, come on with it? And that's what we at. At COCO, we say, come on with it. And sometimes we fight by ourselves. Sometimes we fight hand in hand with other folks like Action Now that are fighting with us. But that's the deal, man. This system is unjust. And they're eating our most precious commodity, the little ones. You know, when I was a shorty in the hood, even the winos looked out for me. Even the winos told me to go to school. And we leave our children to these people. You feeling me? And then we wonder why shorties don't respect us. We leave our children at the mercy of a system that eats them and a school system that makes money off of them now. They selling these schools. They use school salesmen. They like the guy on the commercial with a score, you know, I got a 1975 elementary school here and you can have it for $1.7 million. That's what CPS is doing. And I defy them to prove us wrong. That's it.